Well, here we are. It's Tuesday and it's 2 p.m. for the live F&I tips with Becky Chernek. And I have my co-host here with me, Michael DePeazer. And welcome everyone. Now, if you're new to this channel, I'm Becky Chernek and I've been providing the very best in finance and insurance training for automotive dealers here in the United States and sometimes in Canada too. You can find me. And so from the time that customer lands on that dealership website to integrating that process in the dealership, from sales to desking, from desking to financing to finalizing this transaction, either with a designated F&I manager and or a single point sales associate or hybrid, and really help dealers to make a big difference in impacting those profits. So hear me up. This is being broadcast live on LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as YouTube. So if you like what we're talking about today, hit that like button, subscribe, and you're going to hear more lives coming in the future. So let's do this. Michael DePeazer, welcome. So welcome to the...
Nice seeing you again, Becky. It's always a pleasure. We have so much fun on these calls.
Well, we certainly do. And I got to tell you, this call is really exciting for me. You have a great background in training, coaching, your stores, your dealer groups, big dealer groups for that much matter in Canada. And I want to talk about, how do we continue to impact a higher F&I performance with our managers? I mean, especially, I don't know, they're talking about maybe things might not be so easy as it was for the past 2 years. I mean, it's been like pretty much a cakewalk from what I'm hearing others talk about. And maybe it's not so much, it's going to be as easy as it was in the past 2 years. So now we require a little bit more skill set in that F&I department.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, at the end of the day, let's look at what happened in the last 2 years. It's been a tragedy, to say the least. People are broken. They need to be recovered. And the thinking and action procedures that got us where we are today, they're not available for where we need to be going tomorrow. So we definitely have to make some changes. I totally agree with you 100.
So here's the thing. Here for us in the States, I don't know. And again, I can't talk for you, and you're going to help me out with this because this is what we do. But we've actually had some record-breaking 2 years in F&I. I mean, the numbers, the performance has been out the roof. It's like if you're not running over $2,000 per car, something's definitely wrong. I mean, we are hitting all-time records in the past 2 years. Now, what we're seeing is that the boom, it might be over. And, now it might be a little bit tougher than what it was. And more customers are, maybe not able to afford these car payments. And they're tightening up. The lenders are tightening up. So what are we doing to help our F&I people really make a greater impact? Is that motivating the staff? Is it holding them more accountable? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's quite great that you mentioned like the changes, how numbers are booming over the last 2 years and how they're dwindling down. Well, we're always in the people business, so we're always dealing with people. But within the last 2 years, there's been some shortages. So the customers are ponying up more money. Dealers' mentality, they're not discounting as much. They have the scarce mentality. So to keep that sustainable, I think it's one word. It's empowerment. It's knowing that every individual knows what's best for them if you're able to pull it out of them. You know what I mean? So it's empowering people to own up to what's going on and then to create their own goals that we can help champion them through the way. So it's getting those folks who are capable to know how capable they are, for sure. Definitely.
Okay, so you're saying that let's measure, let's kind of figure where you're at. I mean, where you're at, and then where you want to go. And then we're training up and motivating them to help them, to push them to a higher performance. Is that what you're saying?
This is exactly what I'm saying. Like, do we know the person in front of us who we're giving advice to? It's like the book, The Five Love Languages, right? We could be sharing what we think is productive methods of getting across to some person. However, they receive it in a different total way. So, do we know the people in front of us? Do we know their personal goals, their drives, their aspirations, their needs and wants? I do training in here in Canada, and you know what? We don't have work problems. We have personal problems that show up at work. So I address those personal problems so that the environment's better, then build a process on it. Every single person I train, I have a 15 to 20 question discovery sheet. I want to know why they want the training, what they want to get out of it, why it's important to them. And when you know all these factors, it's easy to drive folks because you know what's important to them. I remind them, hey, what are you doing this for? You mentioned your son wants to go to school. So do you see how this will get him there? So I feel like you got to know your people first. I mean, I probably know more of these dealers, F&I staff than they do, just because I'm intentional in asking those questions. So yes, know the person who you're serving, then teach them some skills outside of the dealership. Teach them some life skills that they could use. Okay. Then after they have that, it's almost like they're getting some value. And then I feel like the necessary step is to teach them practical skills within the job, not no Mickey Mouse stuff that somebody who hasn't trained is teaching or someone hasn't passionate teaching. They don't buy these things. They buy someone who's passionate and knowledgeable. So teach them the skills and then coach them through the process. 21 days to make a habit. Well, do a week checkup. See where they're at. Ask them what they want to accomplish, and they'll bring up the right goals and ask them how they're going to do it, and then they hold themselves accountable. If it comes back and they didn't do their goal, just ask them why. Have them explain it to you. So people, if you hold them accountable, they're likely to produce. But instead, we're telling them sometimes the wrong way. So for sure, there is a method to make this work.
So are you telling me that, we have dealers out there, Michael, that have this, I shouldn't say, but I'll say it, that iron fist here. It's my way or the highway. And I can tell you, look, I've been in the automotive industry, retail, you name it, for the past 30 years and then some. And it has always been that fright. It's like, if I'm not getting to the level of my of the dealership potential, then there's this fear factor that I may not have a job, and or it's, you get me these numbers or I'm telling you, you're out of here. And you're saying, hold up, this is not what we're doing today. This isn't the way to get impact or a positive impact.
Let's get serious here. How many finance managers do you see jumping from dealer to dealer to dealer?
All the time.
Guess what? The grass is greener where you water it. It's never greener on the other side. So how are we watering the people who we expect to generate results? I think it's often forgotten. We're not in the car business. We're no business. We're in the people business. How do people want to be treated? What we say and how we say matters more than the words we use. So we want to encourage somebody to do the job. Well, we're forgetting the end goal. The end goal is to get the numbers up. Okay. So our intentions, our word, the relationship we have with the finance managers matters. So how we speak with them definitely does matter. It's pretty much the end and it's the beginning and end of all success. So what am I saying? Water the grass that's in front of you. And let's use clean, fresh water, none of this water from the local river that's polluted.
Well, I love the analogy that you share about that, because dealers often repeat the same bad behavior. I mean, let's call it what it is. Someone leaves. What do? They hustle to find the replacement. They get the same bad habits coming back into the dealership. And so the process starts over and over and over again. So it is always better, if you can, to plant that seed, water that seed, and impact that seed for, obviously, a higher potential. But when does it, okay, so when, and I understand motivation and how important that is. And I can tell you how many times when I'm in that dealership and I am working with the F&I people and we're actually having a good time. You know, I
Mm.
get people laughing, having a good time, and then I have managers looking at me and or the manager and hearing this laugh, and they're thinking, "You guys don't sound like you're getting any work done. What's going on in there?" And it doesn't have to be all about, I mean, it is business and we are talking through business. But if you're liking what you're hearing, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, do you not get a bigger impact from that?
I mean, that's part of the reason, somebody has to open up and feel open. That's part of the reason. But let's not forget one thing, they need value. These FSMs need value. Who's giving them value? Telling somebody what to do is hardly value. Well, let's look at our customers, okay? Have a customer come in and say, take warranty. Take warranty. You need it. Why should our staff be any different? You have to, if I know FSM's numbers aren't great, okay? I wouldn't go say your numbers aren't great. What are you going to do about it? It's almost defensive. Now, look at this approach. You know their numbers not great. So ask them, hey, where are your numbers right now? Watch their face when they look it up. Oh, why do you think it's that way? Let them explain these things. They're going to know they got a problem. And then you could ask them, what do you want? What are you willing to do about it? And let them commit to something.
Hey,
Done. It's really less is more in every avenue. Screaming, yelling, aggression doesn't sell. Information sells. If you ask somebody a question and they have to explain it to you and they can't, they get stuck. We're in the people business. When you're stuck, you don't feel so good. And that's going to be your gap that allows you to come in with some solutions. So we don't want to give solutions first. We want to ask somebody till they realize the issue, they're stuck, and they say, hey, do you have any suggestions? Then we come in with open arms. So we have to respect the persons in front of us, knowing that they have the answers within them. We just have to ask them. Here's a best case scenario. With the discovery sheets I ask on my questionnaire, here's the reason why. We have the answers. I ask, like, why did you get into the business? What is important to you? These are embedded in us. We'll never pull them up. But when somebody asks you a question, you have to remember. You have to pull it up. Wait a minute, let me think about it. And it creates that knowledge. It creates that. So I feel, again, we should ask more questions and people know.
we should ask more questions. Let's see. We got Steve Apicella here. Thank you so much for stopping in, Steve. Always appreciate you. So the lack of process or gaps in process creates the revenue and relationship limitations, limiting F&I revenue to the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation alone and not having a refi solution. That's what I'm talking about, Stephen. My refi solution. Boy, let me tell you, this topic is going to get big, 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 big. I'm telling you, we are going to talk about this actually tomorrow on my live talk with Rusty West, and hopefully Stephen Apicella will be able to join us. If not, we'll have someone else coming in to join us as well, talking through this, where that dealer participates, but it doesn't dishonor their lender agreements. Gosh, he's got this. Man is really smart. Is a self-infected process inefficiency and revenue loss. So yeah, so Steve, I definitely appreciate you talking through that a bit and why that's so important. Part of this too is really thinking outside the box, right? And or just throwing the box out, that there are other unconventional alternatives and solutions that we can do to help make a greater impact in our overall performance.
Mhm.
That's just one of the things that I'm talking to dealers about, the benefit behind offering customers with refi that allows the dealer to participate, that doesn't break their lender agreement or dishonor their lender agreements. The other is, how do we affect change through a positive means? And that positive means, because here we are. I train, I coach up my stores, so does Michael. How is the best way to make the greatest impact? Now, I'm all about motivation. I do. I love it. I hope that I get people singing from the rooftops. I just love Becky. And there's not a time that when I get done through my training, just like I know Michael, I mean, he and I are both on the same page. I mean, we are charged up. We're passionate about what we do. But at the end of the day, sooner or later, if we're not getting it, if we're not applying ourselves, if we're not taking this knowledge and applying it and implementing it and utilizing it and practicing with it, after that, what happens then? What's next? What's next? I mean, we want to hold our people or accountable.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the next in that?
Well, great question. I think it's always we sometimes could overthink. Like you said, throw the box away. Let's get practical. Let's get real practical here. There is hardly work problems. There's personal problems that show up at work. That's why everyone's so different. So we need to clean the slate. We need to let people know how they're showing up. If you could show somebody how they're showing up, they're going to see the light. So we want to talk about these gremlins, these past beliefs we believe about ourselves that we're carrying over in our life. And how are they so true? Someone might think they're not good enough. Let's talk about where that come from. Assumptions. We're assuming all the time. Something happened to us with another customer. So we're thinking, okay, this set of customers, similar circumstance was going to be similar. So, but if you let people aware of this stuff, they'll see where they're going astray. Interpretations. They look at a situation, they look at a customer, and because of their time in the field, they're decoding and they already know what to present. So if you show them examples of how this is happening, they will be in shock. Because there's a feedback loop that constantly goes on. We're doing something, we're getting feedback. Some people do the same stuff over and over again. It's brain damage until you ask them, why are you doing it? Oh, yeah, good question. Okay, and what about these limiting beliefs? What we believe to be true about a situation that any situation that we believe something to be true, where do we get this from? So they need to know about it. So I think it's cleaning the slate, teaching them life skills first, because that will affect their life and how they're showing up. And then you could build on someone with a foundation. But what's happening is these broken people, they're being built on these foundations when they're not even ready. The world doesn't give us anything we're not ready for. These people are not ready. Their mind is not right. And it has to do with these approaches where someone says, do this, do this, do this. They don't know how, they feel incompetent, so they're running to the next dealership. And they're going to go to sales, not knowing that that person in that seat is amazing beyond measure. You just got to pull it out of them.
Michael, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm doing this not to put you on the spot, but maybe I am putting you on the spot a little bit.
I don't mind.
This is a good one. So dealers, some dealers are wondering, and I have my thought about it, but I want you to share this. So in Canada, what was so impressed to me was when I was facilitating for a larger agency in Simtech in Ontario, Canada, which we all know. I was highly impressed with the fact that we have more females in Canada going into F&I. I mean, they were lining the schools. They were there. They did really well. When I'm in the dealership doing customizing dealership, working with Toyota stores, Audi stores, all the stores, female predominantly. I can say the same thing in Vancouver. But here in the States, we have a problem. And I don't, what's it going to take? Do you think, talk to our dealers here, what's it going to take to get more females to attract them, hire them, and retain them and embrace that culture change? Have at it, Michael.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, I feel it's just how are we recruiting these folks? What is our recruiting message? What's our marketing message? Who are we attracting to that interview? So, I mean, it's a game of inches. You change your message a bit, all of a sudden you're attracting the right folks. Now, are the dealers looking for certain folks? Are they making assumptions, thinking who could produce, who's not, what we think? Again, when we don't fix those personal problems, it happens that we have to feel like we could select certain folks. So I feel like it's all in how are we attracting these folks? Is someone saying, hey, do you have any friends who want to join? Or seeing someone on the sales floor who's a female and asking them to do the job? So it's hard to say. You know what? But I know here it's about growth in Canada. It's you show the need to be in the position. Well, you know what? They're going to groom you for the most part. It's all about attitude. So it's hard to say. Maybe it's seen as a predominantly male job in the U.S. It's a question that, quite frankly, I won't be able to answer. But I do feel that we attract people because of our methods and what methods are being employed to attract these folks.
Well, I think so too. And I think that that has a lot to do with that attracting. What does that mean? How do we attract that individual, that female, to really feel as if or confident enough to realize or think that there is an opportunity, there's a roadmap to success for
You have to have
promotion
the
into
right
F&I?
tools, though. You have to have the right tools because everybody could be empowered. So if you're going to attract somebody and fit them in a framework that's not working or ineffective or seems aggressive, well, good luck with that, right? So there has to be some incentive in terms of a training program. Like if you could teach someone some life skills, I'll take somebody who's an admin staff, literally not in the business. They'll come to my 2-day training. And to get that accountability, I have once a week for a month virtual follow up. They'll outperform the top performer. So it's not about female or male. It's about asking the right questions. You'll get the right answers. Empower somebody, and then they show up. So, matter of fact, a lot of times with females, they could see more unconfrontation. You know, they can reduce those barriers. So it's an advantage a lot of times. So again, what's the mentality of these people recruiting them and their belief in their abilities, and what structure do they have to support them when they start? Nothing. The same aggressive behavior. I don't even want nothing to do with that aggressive behavior. Never mind. So it's not even a female thing. They're just getting people who are rough around the edges who could take the abuse.
Well, maybe that's what happened to me. I mean, I feel like maybe I was rough around the edges for like 20 years. I mean, I just I had blinders on. I'm like, I really don't care what you have to say. I'm doing this with or without you. It doesn't matter. And it really didn't. I just blew through it. It was like, I know you're there. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You are not going to stop me from being successful. If a dealer is giving me an opportunity to be successful in whatever position that they put me in, believe me when I tell you, I took full advantage of it. Now, that said, I had to have a hard head, and and there are times I had to bite my tongue many a time.
You know what? I agree what you just said, and it makes perfect sense. And you know what? The killers are the silent but violent type, the quiet receptionists who's at the side, who uses, see, customers, they always have an anchor point of what they believe to be true. So we're selling features, 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 they can't move it. But even a receptionist who's quiet, who shares information about what could happen, how it looks, the customer's anchor has to move because they have to consider new information. But that person is non-threatening, so they get a listening ear. Words kill. Words kill. You don't have to sell. Tell somebody what could happen. Tell them the intricacies. That's going to be a truth for them now to consider. And guess what? Those ones who are silent, they're doing the best numbers. The ones who, oh, I never sold before. Bring me them, please. Bring me them, because there's no selling to happen. So yeah, there's an advantage in having anybody who is more laid back and relaxed and reserved, because it's words that sell, not the glamour and glitz. It used to be the sizzle sells. Nowadays, customers, they're done with the sizzle. Look, just give me the steak. Okay?
Well,
Give me the
I think that there's a lot to be said about how we do a better job, whether male or female, frankly, in helping that individual be successful for a long-term relationship with that dealer, and grooming them, if you will, for a promotion into management. But there's got to be a roadmap. There's got to be a process that we can all stick to, be mindful of. It is, to me, the culture of this dealership. And that is, where I think that dealers have to recognize, if this makes sense to bring more females into our dealership, what's the hiring process look like? How are we attracting them? What training, what coaching, what process do we have in place to support that? What's keeping them there?
What's keeping them there?
Right?
Yep.
And what's the opportunity of promotion?
Amen. You know what? You know why I left my job of 10 years of a finance manager? One of the pieces is there's no more training, no value added training. So training will keep people, it will retain people. Training outside of the dealership, though, also life skills, practical life skills.
Steven says treating your employees properly equals expectation. Treating your customers respectfully equal expectation. Being compliant. Amen. Expectation. Finding intelligent pathways to increase revenue and more meaningful retention. Amen. Distinction. Someone is earning the employee and customer lifetime relationship. Might as well be you. Contact Rebecca to create your distinction beyond expectation.
Steve knows what he's
Distinction.
talking about.
Well, I appreciate you, Stephen, too, man. You are good people, certainly good people, and I can't thank you enough for that. But those are the things that really we need to do a better job with. We need to, think through how do we attract better talent? How do we keep that talent that we have? What is the coaching about instead of sending somebody up to I don't know, lunchroom to watch Joe Verdi tapes? And I don't mind Joe Verdi. I'm not picking on Joe Verdi. I swear I am not. But it could be Grant Cardone. It could be somebody else. But at the end of the day, there's got to be more to it than that. Don't you think?
Everybody wants to add value to the customers, not forgetting these F&Is are the one who's serving these customers. How crazy is this? How crazy is this? The focus is on the end user, but not the person who's serving the end user. Oh, this is Mickey Mouse. This is Mickey Mouse. It's really less is more. It's basic stuff. So I feel like, yeah, we just need to give ourselves a shake.
Well, here's the thing, and ending, because we try to keep this short and sweet and to the point. One of the things that I know with your coaching and why dealers really appreciate you, you really get impact in your stores. And so sometimes you're doing it in innovative ways that perhaps maybe some of us need to be paying attention to. And it may not necessarily breaking this person down to get that impact. It's about building that person up to get that impact.
That person up. And if we did more of that, if you want to increase your life, help somebody else get to where they need to go. Common, simple, right? Too much dealers are worried about bottom line, but not how to get the bottom line. Come on. If we're working on making gross, we'll never make as much gross as if we focus on the customer's experience. These F&Is need more value. They're dying in that office. They're just saying, help me, help me, help me. And people are saying, I don't know why. Let me send you somebody who never been in the box to train you on some stuff. Go get him, Tiger. Go get him.
Are you trying to tell me that the dealer is actually bringing in a coach or company that have never sat in the seat before to?
They're getting a company to perform. They don't know. Dealers, no, there's nothing against the dealers. They don't know what they don't know. They need experts. They need to know that that person who's teaching is passionate. If they see a person just talking monotone, look, that's not training. That's information. Someone could take all my training material, and they could go train somebody. It's hardly going to be effective. They need to know your hands are in it. Your sleeves are rolled up. They have to hear it in your voice, your tone. They got to know you care about them. And you could be aggressive with F&Is if they know you care. You should see some of my coaching calls. I'll say, what? You said you're going to do it. Hey, that's what. And I'll ask them at the end, hey, what do you feel about my approach? Oh, you know what? I love it. I need it. Because they know my heart's in it. So it's not about stern. It's about let them know you're invested in them, not just in your dealership monies. Who cares? They don't care. They'll go to the dealership up the street. They can't fill the finance position nowadays. So go mess around with a finance manager. They'll be up to the local competitor. That local competitor, you should see how many folks come to the dealerships that I train, and they're rock stars, and the other dealership catch wind. Oh, the same person? It's the same? Yeah, it's the same person. Yeah. Of course.
It's amazing how many times you can take an individual, and I've done this. I can't tell you how many times as well, Michael. I couldn't agree with you more. I've taken an individual from a particular store, put them in a different store. So same person, different seat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made all the difference in the world. And you have to recognize that, right? You have to realize that, figure out, do you have the right person in the right seat, and quit the turnover already. Turnover just costs way too much. Hire right to begin with.
Woo.
Hire the right talent. I tell dealers, listen, with me, with my company, I help dealers obtain great talent and train that talent and keep that talent. And it happens. It's like you said before, if you're bringing back in the bad habits, this is what we did at our dealership, and let these guys run the way that they did at that dealership. I guess the question we should have asked the candidate was, well, I mean, if it was so great, how come you're here? You know what I mean?
How well's that working for you?
It's got to be our process. This is our process. This is something we stick to. This is something we believe in. We're here for our people, our process, our customers. So I have a comment, I think. We do. We have Stephen. You need to understand your core values of those of your leadership team to be able to adjust the culture of your organization.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Stephen. Absolutely. So really do need to understand your core values, so you can understand how best to lead that team. What are your values? What do you stand up for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you adjust your sales. You adjust to what your specific needs are. Mike Thompson, coach, teacher, mentor, praise, reaffirm, practice.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Coach,
Mike is he's
word,
the GM.
Coach, yes, coach. Mm-hmm.
Coach is the key, key word there. And then Mike says, we have to be invested in our employees to have them invest in us.
Ain't that facts? Ain't that facts?
I think you said that, Michael. It is about that. So in closing, would you say it's more important to treat the employee? Well, it's important to treat everyone, right? But if we really love on our employees, wouldn't you agree that they'll love on the customer?
This is a no-brainer. The employees don't even love themselves. How are they going to love somebody else? You know what? It takes an hour and a half to get someone to love themselves, because they realize they've been condemning themselves from the past, and they can let it go. It's just an experience that they could build on. And look what you've done from here to there, and look who you are. And they get to see, wow, you know what? You're right. I want to try some of this stuff. That's what you get. The most common dealerships will send me a variety of folks, but their most broken down folk, they send them to me. Because they're not broken. They're not broken. And they don't
just need a different perspective, right? A different perspective. I can tell you too, on my end, how many times, dealers are ready to blow out their F&I person. And, Beck, I don't know if you can do much here or not. And there's a lot there. It's just, how do you touch that person to get them to succeed?
And I know your story pretty well. And if there's anybody who could do that job well, send them to Becky. You know what I mean? Okay. So this is just how we're invested in ourselves. So how could we be invested in an FSM if we're not invested in ourselves?
Amen. That's exactly right. Well, again, I want to thank you for being here with us today, and see you next Tuesday for F&I tip of the week. And it's been fun, and you make it a great week. How about that?
Great week, everyone. Thank you. You too.
Thank you, guys.